A joyful greeting to all of you. This is Premanand and welcome to the Invisible Advantage podcast. From the bottom of my heart, I sincerely appreciate you making the time to be here. Why does more training produce less presence? It's a strange question because most hospitality leaders assume the opposite. If service is inconsistent, train more. If standards are slipping, train more. If guests complain, train more. If the team lacks confidence, train more. Training has become the industry's favorite medicine. But what if the medicine is not reaching the disease? I'm not against training. I've spent much of my life training people through the London Butler Academy. After 3 decades inside luxury hospitality, private service, cruise ships, and high trust environments, I have learned something uncomfortable. Training tells people what excellence looks like. It does not guarantee they can access excellence when the real moment arrives. And in hospitality, the real moment rarely arrives in a classroom. It arrives when the guest is tired, when the team is short staffed, when the leader is under pressure, when the manual runs out, when the guest does not say what they need but expects someone to notice. That is where most training fails, not because the training was poor, because the conditions were never designed. I remember a moment during service that clearly taught me this. Everything on the surface looked correct. The uniform was right, the greeting was right, and the sequence was right. The words were right, but something was missing. The person serving the guest was not careless. They were not lazy or they have been actually trained well. They knew the standards, but they were operating under pressure. A lot of you who are hearing this will resonate to this. You could see it in the eyes. The smile was present, but the person was not. The body was there, the script was there. The human being had quietly disappeared behind the task. And this is the danger in luxury service. From a distance, it can still look polished, but the guests feel the absence. They may not complain, they may not even know how to explain it. They simply leave with no emotional imprint. That is when I realized training had done its job, the conditions had not. Training does three useful things: it gives language, it gives standards, and it gives sequence. But training does not automatically create presence. Presence requires conditions. A person needs enough psychological safety to use judgment, enough energy to notice subtle signals, enough clarity to know what matters, and permission to act beyond the script. They need enough dignity to care without feeling used, enough recovery to stay emotionally available. Without those conditions, training becomes a theater. People can repeat the line, but they cannot carry the spirit. The energy draws. This is why so many organizations continue to invest in training, yet still face the same problems. The issue is not always knowledge or the skills. The issue is the conditions to access to it. Can your people access what they know when the pressure rises? Can they access empathy when they are depleted? Can they access creativity when the culture punishes mistakes? Can they access presence when the environment keeps them in survival mode? This is the invisible layer, and this is where SEVA operating system begins. Not with more information, but with the conditions that allow human beings to give their best. When a leader understands this, the condition changes. Instead of asking what training do we need, the leader begins asking what condition is missing. If the team is inconsistent, the issue a lack of knowledge or pressure. If the guest experience feels flat, is the issue skill or depletion? If people do not take initiative, is the issue attitude or permission? If standards are not lived, is the issue memory or meaning? This shift changes everything. Training still matters, but training becomes a part of larger human operating system. You do not just teach people what to do, you design the conditions where doing the right thing becomes natural, safe, and repeatable. That is how service becomes extraordinary by design, not by chance. This week, choose one behavior your team has already been trained but still does inconsistently. Do not begin by asking, where are they not doing it? Ask, what condition makes this behavior difficult to live with? Is it time pressure, fear of correction, or is it lack of permission? Or is it poor briefing? Is it an emotional fatigue? Are the standards confusing? A leader who says one thing but rewards another. Find the condition, because once you find the condition, you stop blaming the person and start designing the system. The conditions are invisible, but now you can see one more of them. If this episode gave you something, share it with one leader in your organization who needs to hear it. That is how the work travels. The Invisible Advantage newsletter goes deeper every week. Subscribe at premanand.com. And if you are ready to bring the conditions into your organization, design the invisible conditions where your people give their best. Service becomes extraordinary and guests feel genuinely seen when you know how to design those conditions.